know that feeling when you buy something and then instantly regret it? That's usually a timing issue, not just a budgeting issue. In astrology, electional timing helps you choose the right moment to do many things, right? But for the purpose of this series, I'm talking about electional astrology as it pertains to the right moment to make major purchases, sign contracts, or even invest your money. Today, we're breaking down how to use electional astrology for big purchases so you can spend and invest with cosmic confidence. All right, so if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So today's video is all about electional astrology. Now, electional astrology falls into the category of like predictive astrology. Let me not put that in air quotes because it's a real thing. Predictive astrology, all right? It's when you elect a certain time for things. And what I love about it, in tandem with a lot of the other things I've talked about in this series, it allows you to be intentional. It allows you to pick a better time, perhaps, to do certain things. And for the purposes of this video, the certain thing that we're talking about is making big purchases. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a home, maybe it's investing in a business, right? There's always a better time to do things. And thankfully, electional astrology tells us when. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so first and foremost, I want you to think about and meditate on this core idea. Electional astrology is about choosing the best moment for action, aligning your decisions with planetary energy to maximize results and minimize risk. Okay, the subject matter of this video is kind of going to overlap with a lot of everything else that I've talked about, but it's about finding the right time. And you do that when you elect a time. So essentially, you would look at the astrology going forward and figure out when would be the best cosmic weather in order to take action, or maybe even when to not take action. All right, so let's get into this step by step so that you understand a bit better what I'm talking about. So, step number one, avoid Mercury retrograde if possible. Okay, Mercury rules commerce, contracts, and communications. And during retrograde, there's a higher chance of buyer's remorse, delays, or tech issues. If you must make a big purchase, double check receipts, warranties, and the fine print. Emphasis on warranties. I think I mentioned this in my red flags video where I also talk about Mercury retrograde, right? Especially if you have to purchase like a laptop. Let's say that something happens to your laptop and you end up having to purchase one during Mercury retrograde. Make sure that the warranty is intact. You want to make sure that the warranty lasts for, if it's a manufacturer's warranty, if you can get a warranty from the place that you are purchasing the equipment from. Warranties are going to be your friend when Mercury is retrograde. And make sure that you read the fine print. If there's an issue with returning, if it has to be in a certain way or within a certain time period, pay attention to those things, because invariably when Mercury retrogrades, retrograde is all about the right? And one of those re's is return. So if you are making a large purchase during Mercury retrograde, like if you have to, be prepared to perhaps return it for something else or a replacement, okay? Now let's get into step number two. Watch Venus retrograde. Venus rules value, money, and pleasure. So when she's retrograde, our sense of worth and desire shifts. So during this time, avoid luxury purchases, beauty upgrades, or anything rooted in aesthetics. It's a great time for reevaluating what feels worth it, but it's not the time for new splurges, okay? Now, we all love a little retail therapy at times, don't we? One of the things I loved to do. Now, I'm a Taurus rising, so I'm very Venusian. At least once a month. I would try to keep it at once a month. But when I used to work, I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years, but I also did like side gigs, right? And I would work for large law firms. Whenever it was payday, once a month or maybe more than once a month, I would always go to Sephora on Fridays. Okay. It's Venus Day. I didn't know that back then because I wasn't using all of this information yet at that point in time. But every Friday when I got paid, at least once a month, I would go to Sephora and I'd get a perfume or a new item of makeup, right? Venus retrograde, that ain't the time for that. Actually, Venus retrograde is a great time to save, okay, to curtail or rein in that spending. So, when talking about electional astrology, especially as it pertains to big purchases, if you see that Venus retrograde is happening, and keep in mind, Venus retrograde happens every 18 months. So, there are some years where we have a Venus retrograde and some years that we don't. But if you notice that this is a year when we have Venus retrogrades, and if you want to know when that is, lock into this channel because I'll always tell you what the current astrology is, right? But if you know that a Venus retrograde is coming up, that's going to be a good 40 days when it's not the right time to really splurge on anything luxury or to make big luxurious purchases. All right, let's go to step 3, which is about choosing supportive transits. So Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, they tell you when not to do things. But electional astrology, at the core of it, is about when to do things, when to looking at the astrology to determine when to elect to do certain things. So there are some supportive transits that if you see are coming up will be a great time to make big purchases. And the first of those would be Jupiter, trines, or sextiles. Okay. And if you want to know more about aspects, I have some resources in the description box below to either clue you in or get you up to speed. All right. But Jupiter trines or sextiles equal ideal for expansion and wise investments. Venus transits attract the best deals or harmony around finances. New moons in earth signs, and earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, sorry, those are excellent for starting new financial cycles. Full moons generally are best for closing payments, completing purchases, or paying off balances. All right, so those are the more supportive transits that you can elect to make big purchases during. Okay, now step 4. Mind the moon's void of course periods. Now, this is a video all unto itself, which I have yet to do. But whenever the moon is transiting between two signs, there's a period of time where it is known as being void of course. And when the moon is void of course, it can be a time when if you take action, nothing may really happen. And you would need some kind of software or look it up on the internet in order to know when the moon would be void, of course. All right. But when it is, it's kind of a time to not really take action. So when the moon is void, actions usually tend to go nowhere. Okay. So the intended result that you're looking to achieve by taking action may not be fulfilled when the moon is void, of course. All right. So avoid making big purchases or signing contracts during a void moon. Okay. They rarely deliver long-term satisfaction. Now, this gets into sort of nitpicky territory because a moon could be void, of course, for a couple of hours or even up to a day. And to track that would be a little, I'll be completely honest with you. I included this because there are some people who do track void, of course, right? However, I don't. I feel like it's a little too granular, it's a little too much. But if you're someone who, let's say, is a Cancer rising and you are ruled by the moon, meaning the moon is your chart ruler, understanding when the moon is void, of course, would be optimal for you specifically because you're ruled by the moon. I am not, so it's not something that I do personally, but I can teach you how to do that. And if you're interested in a void, of course, moon video, let me know in the comments below and I will detail that and flesh that out in that video so you really have a proper understanding of it. All right. So apps like Time Nomad or even Luna can help you track these windows if this is something that you're interested in or that is particularly relevant to you. Okay. Now, step number 5, align with your chart. Okay. So buying something significant during positive transits to your second or even 10th houses, or when there are harmonious aspects to Venus or Jupiter, usually support abundance. Okay. Let's say that, Venus is currently in Libra at the time that I'm filming this video, and she will be transiting into Scorpio in a couple of weeks, right? So let's say that you are a Libra rising. And so when Venus is about to go into Scorpio, this is actually going to be your second house. So this is a great time for you to align with um abundance, number one. But number two, Scorpio has a lot to do with investments. And an investment can be a very big purchase, right? Maybe you're investing in stock. Maybe you are investing in the stock market, which would be the same thing. So I don't know why I repeated that, but whatever. Or maybe you're investing in a business or something like that. When Venus is transiting your second house, aka when Venus moves into your second house and moves into Scorpio, this would be a great time to make that purchase or make that investment. Let's say you're experiencing a Saturn aspect. Only purchase if it's something long-term, practical, or foundational. Saturn often gets the connotation of being like stingy. And not just stingy for the sake of being stingy. Saturn wants you to make smart financial moves and smart financial purchases. So if you are experiencing a Saturn transit or a Saturn aspect to your natal chart, only purchase if it's something long-term, practical, or foundational. So when it comes to electional astrology, it can tell you when to make large purchases, and depending on the transit and the sign and all of the information that you can glean from your natal chart, it can tell you what type of purchases to make. All right. That's why I love me some astrology. All right. All right. So now let's get into some quick integration tips and why this all even matters. First, timing isn't superstition, it's strategy. And I think I've weaved this message in and through this series, especially if you're someone who's new to astrology, you're coming here from religion or anything like that. They've demonized astrology, it's fortune telling, all these things. It's really math and science, and a lot of it is timing, and timing is strategy. When you know better, you do better. I think one of the examples I gave before was, if it's the middle of a blizzard, I don't think it's the right time to go to the beach with a bikini, right? Like, astrology just helps you understand the timing so you can craft an appropriate strategy. When you buy or invest in alignment with supportive planetary energy, you strengthen the intention behind the action. Like, I can't stress that enough. A lot of times we do things and perhaps the intention behind it isn't that great. However, when you align yourself with the planetary energy, the intention becomes crystal clear. And when you do it at the right time, that intention only gets amplified. Okay. It's not about waiting forever, right? Timing can sometimes feel that way, especially when we get into more esoteric and spiritual notions of timing, like divine timing. But when we're talking about astrology, astrology shows you that it's not about waiting forever. It's more so about choosing moments that echo success, choosing the right moments. Now, there's not the thing with electional astrology, and this probably sounds a little more, this is more toward the technical astrology side of things, right? But it's never going to be the perfect time. It can be the right time, but not the perfect time. There's still going to be certain things that aren't necessarily going to be in alignment. You can try to find the best time, but there still may be a component of that election that you're choosing that isn't necessarily the best, okay? But it's more so about getting things mostly right. So it's about choosing the right time, not the perfect time. And the right time is the time that can really help you solidify success. Inside my signature natal chart experience, the blueprint, I help you understand your personal financial timing patterns, including how transits to your money planets influence spending, saving, and investing. This is part of the 30-day money map, which is included in this service. Okay, so the blueprint isn't just a regular natal chart reading. You get a 60-minute live reading with me. You get a private client portal where you'll get access to a whole bunch of resources. But most importantly, you get a 30-day money map so that post reading, you know what transits are going to be happening concerning your particular natal chart. So you know exactly which money moves to make and most importantly, when. So the first step to booking the blueprint is to book a 15-minute free clarity call. That way we can decide if this service is good for you and if so, when to get started. So if you're interested, the link to that clarity call is in the description box below. And of course, over in Cosmic Collective, my online private community, you'll find a bonus post this week with key electional tips and my go-to apps for tracking transits and void moons. All right, if that is something that interests you, okay? And the link to Cosmic Collective is in the description box below. All right, it's $11 a month, which includes a lot. I go live every week. There's extra resources, exclusive content, and an amazing community of other astrology enthusiasts who want to learn and who have some things to teach as well. All right. And if you're interested in that, the link is in the description box below as well. All right, my love. So that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on electional astrology. All right. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use to move forward and make better money moves. All right. So to recap, electional astrology helps you make purchases in alignment with flow, so your money decisions feel blessed and definitely not stressed. All right. Don't forget to take the Abundance Archetype quiz. Link is in the description box below to discover your natural spending and investment styles. All right. Join us over in Cosmic Collective for this week's live Q&A and my bonus perfect timing checklist. All right. And don't forget to enter the giveaway. All right. Every comment, share, and quiz sign up counts as an entry. All right. Winners will be announced live during my weekly live stream once we hit our subscriber milestone. All right. So subscribe and comment your next big purchase below to boost your entries. All right, so join us tomorrow where we'll talk about how to use your natal chart as a business plan so you can build your brand and income strategy straight from your stars. All right, my love, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.